We are live. Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. That's me. I'm your host, Jason Zalakis. Thanks for being here. Welcome to Coffee Breaks Thursdays. Let's get right to some coffee. Delicious. Today we're drinking caffeinated. I don't know, lately I've switched up a little bit. I've started having a couple of caffeine cups every now and then. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's getting older. I don't know. I'm not really sure, but I start to feel tired, Don't have what I used to, And my son, he's really working out lately, and he's just killing it in the gym. And I can't do what half the stuff he does, man. I can't do half of it, and so he's pretty impressive with that. So anyway, I don't know if that's my old age or who knows what that is, but well, I'm sure that's what it is. It's old age. It's it's certainly not the pizza I eat or all the coffee I drink. It can't be that. But anyway, so I've decided to have a couple of caffeine cups every so often. I'm still really not doing it, but anyway, just in case. And once again, welcome to Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis. I, of course, am Jason Zalakis. Thanks for being here. So let's get right to it today. A lot of great stuff going on. First off, let's send out thank you to my friend Pasher. You guys have seen me before wear some of his work, most specifically the Krampus shirt. Pasher House is the artist of that, and I want to give a shout out to him. But another reason why I want to give a shout out to him is he got this signed for me from my friend Warren Davis. Warren Davis is the inventor of Qbert, and check this out. This thing turns on here. You can see it. It's a real game. It really plays, and it's pretty cool. And I just put my thumb over the autograph. But anyway, I don't know if you can hear it. Let's see if you can hear it. That's weird. Ooh, that's cool. Holding this thing to my neck is kind of weird. But anyway, the Qbert game, I wanted to give a shout out to Pasher House and his beautiful wife, Jennifer, for getting this signed for me by Warren Davis, the creator of Qbert. Very, very cool addition to my collection. So I'm very stoked to get that, and I want to give a shout out to them. Guys, I'm always appreciative of anything anybody gets me or does for me. Specifically, in relationship to the show. I want to thank you guys for watching week after week. If you missed any of the episodes, if you want to see the previous episodes, they're real easy. You just go to Coffee Breaks Thursdays with Jason Zalakis on Facebook, and the entire run of our show is there. You can see every episode we've had. I think we're up to, 28 episodes now. So pretty exciting for us. We're stoked. We've been doing it over a year. We don't do it every single Thursday because, you guys know I'm a working actor and I'm often on set. Luckily, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about my week as we prepare for our guest. And I'm very excited about our guest today, Deshawn Hill. He's a friend of mine. And the one thing I love about Deshawn Hill, you may not know this, but you're going to find out, is dude is like obsessed with film. And that's one of the things I love about him is he's so smart about movies and entertainment. He's like, reminds me of Tarantino when Tarantino was, said that, I didn't go to film school, I went to films, which I don't recommend. But you should probably go to film school. You might increase your chances. What the hell do I know about anything? But it seems like maybe the film school is a good idea. But Deshawn Hill reminds me of Tarantino in that way of how much he studies film, this guy. So I'm excited to bring him on. Before we do, let's, keep moving it right along here. And, we got Handsome History coming up. We got a lot of great stuff coming up, so stay tuned. You're gonna really be excited about what I have planned for you today. And you know what? I'm feeling laid back today. I'm chilling today. We're chilling. We're chilling. We're taking a break to this week, This show is about having a good time, and we're here to have a good time. So, my week this week, I got to tell you, sometimes being an actor, it is what it is. And I think that's one of the craziest things for me is that, what I did yesterday was I drove, it takes about an hour and a half to get places, especially if you want to be there, on time. You can never, in LA, you can't count that you're going to get there on time unless you leave really early. And, because there's a crash. There's always a crash. I don't care what your GPS says, there's a crash. And if there's not one when you GPS it when you start, there'll be one by the time you're there at that point on the freeway. Crashes are a thing here, man. That's a thing here in LA, is that we're crashing into each other on the things. There are so many damn lawyer billboards. If you've never been to LA, the lawyer billboards are ridiculous because there's so many crashes. So you can't be anywhere. So it takes about an hour and a half to drive somewhere. So I have this audition yesterday, and I'm going in, and it takes me an hour and a half to get there. And of course, you go in and it's a 3-second audition, right? But I go in and I do my thing, and actually, you know what? I feel pretty good about it. I got to tell you, it was really cool to be in an in-person audition. It was really cool to get to see that, to be part of it. And I've done it before, but I miss it, right? Like, I think to me, the in-person is something. So if I got the job, it certainly wasn't from my talent. It was definitely going to be from my personality. So hopefully my personality came through in the in-person audition, which, trying to convey personality through a Zoom tape. I mean, that's just a tough thing to do. I mean, I'd love to. That's one of the reasons why we do this show is I want to ask actors stuff like that. I want to ask actors about personality. So anyway, I drive an hour and a half. I do this teleprompter audition, and it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I'm happy. Maybe I'll get the job, maybe I won't. But I actually feel like this time I might actually have a chance of getting the job. So hey, pretty good. Then I go to meet a friend for lunch. Actually, the lovely Jackie Dallas, who has been on our show. So if you're on our show. I will meet you for lunch. It's like something I do. It's like but getting on our show is not easy. Getting on our show is hard, and which moves me to, I want to talk about the rest of my week. I want to talk about how disaster it is, but this seems like a great segue to bring up the producer Warren Madden. You guys, happy birthday! Shout out to producer Warren Madden yesterday, who had his birthday was yesterday, and I wanted to give him a shout out for that. If it wasn't for Warren Madden, we wouldn't have this show. He brings us guests week after week. He, makes it possible. So big shout out to him. Thank you for Warren Madden for all you do, and happy birthday to you. And also, happy birthday to my cat. Believe it or not, my cat today is 20 years old. 20. Now, when I go to the vet, he's shocked, man. He goes like this. He's all like this super doctor guy. And he's like, well, I can do an injection, and I can do these things, and I can do all this different stuff. And then when I told him, I go, yeah, man, she's 20 years old. And he's like, he brought character, and he was all like, dude, that's like 100 years old. And I go, I know. But when I tell other people, when I go, my cat's 20 years old, people go, oh yeah, I had one that lived to 20. I had one that lived to 19. So I don't know if it's rare. I don't know if it's not. To me, it's pretty dang rare. Anyway, happy birthday, my cat. Happy birthday to producer Warren Madden. 2 separate days, but still, you're on the week. You get the birthday shout out. And before we get to my guest Deshawn, who I've already spoken wonderful things about, and I'm sure he missed out that great introduction. Before we get to that, guys, and let me just finish off with the rest of my week. Okay, so I went and had lunch with the beautiful Jackie Dallas. Wonderful place. We went. Then it took me 2 hours to get home. So, in essence, half a tank of gas. Okay, 5 hours of driving yesterday between going to meet her for lunch, going between all the different stuff. 5 hours of driving yesterday. And I don't even know if I'll get a job out of it. That's what being an actor is like. For real. So what do you think that cost? It wasn't free to do all that. It costs money. And thank goodness yesterday I didn't have to pay to park. Usually you do. So, you know what I mean? Like if I don't even get the job, man, it was like, well, at least I wouldn't have lunch with a friend. But you know what I mean? That's what being an actor is like. Let's move on. Handsome History coming up. Then Deshawn Hill. Handsome History this week is inspired by Deshawn Hill, in fact. Deshawn Hill is a friend of mine, you guys, and I'm excited to bring him on. I know this guy in person. He's a cool-ass dude, and I was inspired by him for Handsome History this week. And you guys know that I'm always inspired by something for Handsome History. And so this week, our guest is from Champaign, Illinois, where he's from. So I was inspired to bring you Handsome History facts about Illinois. Illinois was the first state to ratify the 13th Amendment. Very cool. Did not know that. Illinois stands up. Illinois is also the first state of McDonald's. McDonald's was in Des Plaines, Illinois. That's where the very first McDonald's is. Also, Twinkies were invented in Illinois in 1930. Did you know Twinkies were that old? I certainly didn't know that Twinkies were that old. So shout out to Illinois for those two death traps. McDonald's and Twinkies, two of my favorite things in the whole world. It's funny when I talk to actors. Actors have a hidden love for McDonald's. I know producer Warren Madden does. We have a hidden love for McDonald's, and we don't tell each other. We're like, oh yeah, yeah, man, I eat all this great stuff, and then you catch us in the drive-through. Especially when you're on set, you'll eat some crappy ass shit on set. Shout out to that. Moving on. Did you know that 80% of Illinois is farmland? I did not know that. I didn't know that. 80%? That's huge. It's also really flat. I didn't know that either. And one of the most amazing things is that the Chicago River was reversed in 1892. They reversed the flow of the Chicago River by adding man-made canals. It took them from 1892 to 1922. So what is that? That's like 40 years to do it, to reverse the flow of the river, but they did it. And still by today's standards, it's considered one of the most incredible man-made marvels of all time. But the biggest thing I have to tell you, before we bring on Deshawn Hill, is, and this blew my mind. Chicago, which is obviously in Illinois, I mean, the most famous city. Chicago, the Windy City, the nickname, the Windy City, is actually from an article in 1893 about politicians speaking at an exhibition. Long-winded politicians speaking at an exhibition in 1893. And a newspaper article called it the Windy City based off that. It has nothing to do with the wind in the city. It has to do with politicians that were giving a speech. And that blew my mind. That's Handsome History, folks. Let's get to Deshawn Hill. Next week up, Tracy Burr. Very exciting. Shout out to producer Warren Madden. It's your birthday. It's your birthday, Warren. You're my friend in Florida. You're lucky I don't discriminate, because what is Florida? What are you guys doing? Banning math? What is going on there? And I don't get political on this show. You know that. Deshawn Hill, my brother. Dude, how are you, man? It is good to see you. I was just giving Warren Madden the business for living in Florida, man. Am I right?
But, yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's great to see you, man. You and I are friends in real life.
Yes, sir.
You and I have met, which is interesting. One of the things that I think is fascinating is how the internet can bring people together who, maybe like I don't know, you and I we don't work at the same place. We may have never run into each other, but because we're both in this business, we went, yo, you want to, hang out? And now we're like pals.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and even
before we get into it, can I give you two more facts about Chicago or Champaign?
Let's do it. Absolutely.
So Champaign is the home of Roger Ebert, the great film critic. He's the hometown of Roger Ebert. Also, Champaign is the place, the first supercomputer was in Champaign, Illinois.
Really?
Yes.
And the great Deshawn Hill is from Champaign, Illinois. Right.
There we go.
They got a lot going for Champaign's got a lot going for it, man.
It's a pretty cool place, man.
It's also not named for a fantastic beverage.
No, it's not, unfortunately.
It's spelled differently, right? It's probably named for an Indian tribe that somebody got murdered.
Yeah, exactly.
Over. It's probably named for that. Yeah.
So is Illinois, exactly. Yeah.
Illinois is right. The Illini or whatever. When I was looking it up, they were. Oh, that's so funny. You told me you were watching and told me to bring you on camera. Facebook is insane. Anyway, and hi, shout out to my mom who's watching. But
hi, Mom.
Okay, so let's talk about Champaign, Illinois.
Sure.
Because one of the things that I like to ask is, okay, and let's just start there. You decided to come to LA.
Yeah.
You're a huge student of film. You go, I can go anywhere in the world. You could go to Atlanta. You could go to New Mexico. All these places. All these places I hear film is jumping off.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you personally choose LA?
LA feels like the most immediate connection to what I want to do. It feels like if I go down the street, I can be at Sunset in Gower. I can be at these other buildings where there's been history. There's great opportunity there, and I love Atlanta. I love New Mexico. All these places that have film roots there, and it's totally good. I love it. Chicago has some too. We do some good stuff there. But I think LA for me is the best place to be.
And what do you think about when people tell you like, oh man, like, Atlanta's the new LA, or, those places, like you said, Chicago, I've heard it all. Like, oh my God, they're building in San Francisco now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you think about when people tell you that? Because you do, like, you go back to Champaign sometimes?
Yeah, for sure, for sure, for sure. I mean,
Right. So,
I like when people say that. I mean, it's totally fine. I think Atlanta is a bubbling place where a lot of great films can be made. A lot of stuff is being done. Tyler Perry has the new studio, which is being used for so many different things. Even now, even as soon as it's opened, it's been being used for stuff, for major production. So that's totally fine. Like, I don't think Hollywood needs to have a monopoly on film. I think in different places we can get different stories celebrated, So Anthony Mackie just opens a studio in New Orleans, and now we can see a bit more of that story being told, a bit more of the Southern Creole, like hip jazz. A lot of those stories can be told. Even though we got a few now, we can kind of delve into what that is, and even the current situations there. So I enjoy it. I don't, I let people, if they like that, if they want to be the new Hollywood and things like that. Hollywood is Hollywood, of course, but it's great that there are other places that are just celebrating film, and that's really what I love about it.
right. And you personally, that's one of the things I love about you is how much you celebrate film.
Yeah,
You're like all about
100%.
film. When you
100%.
I, I don't often ask the guests their journey, but your journey is really, to me, really fascinating.
Right.
You, and I don't mean to call you out, it's on IMDb, but
No. Yeah. Yeah.
you were born with a heart disease,
Yes.
a rare heart disease.
Yes, sir.
And, and because of that, you stayed home and watched television.
Yeah. I went out a little bit, but actually, when I would go out and like play and things like that, I could literally feel my heart like feels like it's about to like explode and the arteries are gonna rip out and things like that. You could feel that, so I didn't do too much of that.
Do you still do that? Like, is that a lifelong
No. I
condition?
work out now. I've been working out for like 15 years now, so I run and things like that. So I've kind of worked it out, kind of.
Wow. So you
Yeah,
were able to sort of like physically overcome it.
exactly. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Because I mean,
And I had surgery too. So I had
you
two
did okay.
surgeries. So and I took medicine and things like that. It's not like I'm, working it out myself, but I did my part for sure.
Right. Okay. Well, that's amazing. Because I know that you're like a fit dude, right? Like so.
Right,
So
100%.
right. I mean, so do you then? When you were growing up, you got the nickname TV.
Not the nickname. Kind of like one of my family friends would call me that, and people would kind of laugh about it. And because I literally did watch a lot of TV. I watched a lot of movies, a lot of TV.
And did you so? And I sort of talked to you, about you like how Tarantino does, like about
Yeah.
that you like studied film. How much did that? What are some of your inspirations from that era
From
that you follow
from when I
now?
was a kid.
Yeah. When you were hooked on TV, what were you hooked on? What are you attributing? Because I know you're a guy who tributes.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. I would say for me, I watched a lot of like nothing never that was like supremely adult. I watched a lot of kids stuff actually, and I just got really a lot of inspiration from that. Like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Ninja Turtles had a lot of good films then. And I was just in like Iron Giant was a really good one that I was really into as a kid, and I think that won a few Oscars and things like that for best animated film and things like that. So some of these films they just felt good, and then I really got into film. I think, or I would say I got more into story first, and I got into film because I was always into movies, etc. But I think when I first heard the story of The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe, that kind of changed my whole thought process on what storytelling was. And that was pretty young. I was in elementary school when I read that story, and I've never really kind of looked at film the same since then. So that's kind of that was the launching pad. I was always into film and TV and things like that, but I think story was my love for story kind of started there.
Right. And before we move into your Poe,
Yeah,
what I call your Poe obsession, but for the
it's an obsession. Yeah, it is. It is.
Um, uh, where was I going with that? Before we move into that, so you mentioned that you had a moment there where you were reading the story and you got like inspired and it sort of changed the way you looked at film.
Yeah,
At what point you're working construction and
yeah.
and you have a moment where you're going, man, I got to go do something else.
Well, I wasn't necessarily working construction. I was in school for construction. I was in college for construction. And I was, we would build stuff in college and kind of go through our thesis and things like that. And it was okay. It's not a bad thing to do. It was actually a little bit of fun, but it just wasn't. It felt useless to me, just because I didn't care about it, and I wasn't invested in it. So
Right.
it took me a while to really kind of figure out that next thing, but then I decided, it was some things that happened to me like internally that I really kind of pushed me into film. Like some things that I start to feel in a certain way, but I think it was just that moment of not doing college things and construction and those type of things. And I think it was just those moments of now is the time to make the thing that I've always wanted to do, which is make stories and tell stories. And I feel like in my oeuvre, whatever you want to call it, it's possible to do the things I want to do. I've made so many stories already. I've done about 14 to 15 films, and most short. But I think I'm getting to where I want to be, and I have another film releasing soon that is a horror film that I really like, and I think it's gonna be really good. It's coming out soon. But it all started from Edgar Allan Poe, Charlie Chaplin. Getting just the inspiration of basic storytelling and seeing the lessons that play out in film and in story. Seeing those lessons play out and how it affects people is kind of like the engine that pushes me.
T- Tell us about that moment where I think you're on set or wherever it is. Tell us about
Hmm.
that moment for you where
Yeah,
you're like, you know what? Listen, I mean, because okay, or let me back up a little bit. When you're thinking,
sure.
all right, I'm going to school with construction, I'm learning a trade, I'm doing these things, and you're saying to yourself, I got to go make movies. Because I don't get ahead of me. I know you have a lot of movies. I know we're going to get to your horror film and all that,
No, no, no,
but
no, no. Sorry.
um, no, no, it's all good. And what I'm saying is that okay, so you're in college, you're doing all these things, and you say to
Yes.
yourself, I want to go make movies and stuff. What is your fear level like there? Are you like, dude, I'm giving up this job, I'm giving up potentially all this. Like, what's your fear level at?
There was no, I don't, um, there was more excitement than anything. There was like a real like fire and passion behind it. Like I had like the things I kind of didn't want to get into. I had like a few dreams that kind of like propelled me into just and that sounds crazy, I don't really want to get into it. It sounds foolish, but I had a few dreams that felt really good creatively, so it kind of pushed me into that. But
Inspiration, man, it comes in the craziest places.
yeah,
Like before we were moving here, this guy, he comes up to me. I'm shooting a movie in the Bay Area, and this guy comes up to me, and I'm wearing
yeah,
this all good suit, and he goes, "Man, you look like you should be in LA." And I was all
yeah,
like, "Oh my God, dude, God just spoke to me." Like,
yeah, yeah,
like, and now I live here, which is
yeah.
crazy.
And it's a good
So
decision, man. You should be here for sure.
thank you.
Yeah.
I could be another one of those 5 hour cars on the road. Uh, anyway, I got thrown off track with thinking about the traffic, but
No, no,
man,
you're good.
I'm getting thrown off track a lot today. Let's
It'll do
go.
that. Traffic will do that.
Right, right. So
Yeah.
thank you though. Anyway, my point is we were talking about dreams and inspiration from different places, but
Mm.
so where do you have that moment? Like, where do you have that moment where you're going, or was it from the dream? Maybe you already answered the question, but where do you have that
Right.
moment where you're like, I'm going to do this the rest of my life?
Um, when I had my first successful premiere, I believe. Um,
Oh, okay, it comes later.
no, no, well, I mean, I'm not really thinking about the rest of life, at that point. I'm kind of just working off the wind of the energy of it. It's like I love movies, I got stories to tell, and I know that I can do a lot of cool stuff. So let's just do it. And then I think later on I started to look at like, is this what I prefer to do something else? You know? Um, So my first film premiere was 20. I didn't get into film until I didn't start making movies until like after college, after high school, like a year into college, I got into film. So I was probably about 19, 20. And then around 20, like a couple years, 2 years in, I made my first zombie film, which I put in what I put in the theater back in Champaign for one night, and it was packed house. It felt good. It was a lot of fun, and I love the story that I put on screen. It wasn't the best quality. My cameras weren't great, my lighting wasn't great, but it felt great to me, so I was into it. And
And is that Holly? Which one is that?
no, that's Infection.
Infection. That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so tell us about the process of that. I mean, you make one movie and you got it in the theater. I mean, I know it's locally, but that's hard to do.
Well, it's not so hard to do. You just call the theater and say, "Hey, are you free this night?" And then they say, "Yeah," and I say, "Okay, I'll put a movie in there." I also put my movie like on TV locally too. So I just called the station and said, "Is it possible to put my film here?" And da da da. And they said, "Yeah," and so I went that way.
Now, I mean, I wonder if that's a real gift of a local market because I don't think you could
Yes,
call
exactly,
anybody here and do
exactly.
that.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one of the gifts of it. You can get that publicity, you can get those things. But I think there's ways in bigger cities too to get. You just got to be creative. To get the marketing you want, to get the looks you want on the screens that you want. Just get creative. I think there's ways to do it for sure.
You mentioned that your production value, obviously in your first movie, wasn't what you wanted it to be.
Right,
Eh,
right.
How has it changed for you? Have you spent a ton of money on equipment, or like what has changed for you in that time?
So now I just hire people. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Because when I first started doing it, it was literally just me. Like I did the makeup for all the zombies. I put the blood on them and stuff like that, and I shot it. I set it all up. Everything. But then, now it's just me. I'm just gonna. I mean, now I just pay people, cameraman, sound guy, editor, all of this stuff.
And you're an actor as well. So do you act in your movies?
I have before, but I don't really like doing that because I can't really focus on directing when I'm trying to focus on acting. So it's really tough for me. I think when I'm dealing with something maybe that's a little bit more lighthearted, maybe I could try that in the future. But when I'm dealing with something that I'm really serious about, that's like a real serious piece for me, it's tough for me to put myself in it because that's just another thing that I got to focus on and takes away from everything. So.
Right. So you're real focused on getting the look. How long are you setting up a shot?
I mean, it depends. A lot of times, maybe not so long because we're working on a budget. We only got a certain amount of time. I'd say maybe like 15 minutes. We're putting the stuff up above beforehand, but really getting that shot and saying, okay, he's in his spot. Make sure we got the right shot. That's about a 5, 10 minute thing, 10, 15 minutes.
You're not spending hours and hours on lighting for one
No, no,
scene.
no, no. We can't literally because like my last film, Man Men Know Nothing, we had 2 days to shoot everything. And it's a 20-minute film, about 30 pages. So that's a tight crunch. So we had to just
You
get
shot a
everything that
30-page
we wanted.
script in 2 days?
Yeah, yeah. I really love how it turned out, man. I'm looking forward to showing people what it is.
Okay, so let's talk about that because and we're jumping ahead. We can jump back and forth. We don't care.
Yeah, I'm
We
talking
can.
about it.
No, no, no. It's okay. Let's talk about Mad Men Know Nothing because
Okay.
the trailer is insane.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you.
and the trailer for those who haven't seen it, go to Deshawn Hill's page. Okay. Well, I'll tell at the end. We'll tell you where to go, but
Cool.
to see it, right? But or you could probably Google it. I don't know. But anyway, so Mad Men Know Nothing. Tell us without giving anything away.
Hmm.
Tell us the premise of that movie because it looks
So
fantastic.
it's an ode to Edgar Allan Poe, my original muse. My original idea of what storytelling could be. It's Telltale Heart. I'm retelling the Telltale Heart. It's an adaptation. It's basically a man who's a servant and he's not really sure why he hates his boss. But you hate your boss because he's your boss, and you didn't ask to be uh, in this position. He was born into servantry. So his mother was a servant, and he now is a servant, and he doesn't really. in the story, in the original story, Telltale Heart, he's like he's still a servant, but he blames it on his old eye. It's like I can't stand looking at his eye. But I truly believe that he was making and Edgar Allan Poe maybe have known this. He was just making up a reason to say, I really don't like working for this guy. Like I deserve to be more than a servant. I deserve to be, at least equal. I mean, you don't have to be my servant, but maybe we can be equal. And it's driving him crazy. And he kills the man at the end, but his guilty conscience kind of takes it over. And that's really what we're doing here. It's a modern take on it. It's a little dark. I'm not sure if it's darker than the original because Edgar Allan Poe really did some good stuff there. But it feels good, man. It's a longer story. I love some of the scenes in there. I think people are really going to enjoy it. So I'm looking forward to showing them.
And where did you get the music for it? Because the trailer's music is like off the hook. Did you
Yeah.
I
brought a few guys in for the music for the soundtrack. We outsourced some different artists. We got some more surprises in there too, So a few guys that we can put in there. We got Shy Songwriter. His name is actually the Shy Songwriter. So he's a producer. He's a writer. He's kind of putting the score together for us, and that music. I love finding that great music to really accentuate everything you do in the film, and it's really gonna be. It sounds good. I love that.
Now I know you've had this story in mind for a long, long time. How long do you spend developing a project, you think?
Well, so I didn't really. This is kind of more recently. I kind of wanted to do this story. I literally have so many short films and things like that and ideas that I have in my mind that it's kind of tough to decide which ones to do and how long I want to do it for and things like that. But I think on a regular scale, like when doing a short film, I'd say probably going into it, because I write all my own stuff too. So that takes a little bit of time added on to what you might consider the pre-production part of it. Like, so when I get the idea, I still got to write it and then I got to make sure it's right. And then I got to shoot it. So I'd say, from start to finish on a short film, possibly. This one's taking a little bit longer because I'm doing a little bit more to it. But I'd say about 4 months, maybe.
4 months to make a short film?
To make a short, maybe like 3-4 months to really kind of get everything how I want to do.
I mean, that sounds reasonable. And do you do things for funding? Like, do you do Kickstarters and stuff? Because you're working at an independent level and you're hiring people. You're hiring people, which is huge for an independent.
Yeah.
So how do you fundraise for that?
So I use my own cash a lot of the times. I work with some investors. So we kind of pull together and see what we can make happen. I'm hoping to get more people keep connecting with investors and producers and things like that, people who love movies and want to support that process, So that's really what we do. And, we give them a cut back on the end and we kind of make sure that we have our own thing going on and that's how we go about it. But I'm going to put my own up too as well because I love it as much.
Right. And of course, excuse me, as a filmmaker, how important is it that you back your own movie? I mean, because like I've heard a lot of people tell me that like, well, look, man, nobody's going to give you money if you don't put up your own money. Like, so how? Yeah. I mean, is that your philosophy? How important is it that a filmmaker?
100%. And it shows everybody that you're in it for the right reasons. That you're not, because some people they really just want to say they've been on a movie set and things like that, and that type of situation, you can lose a lot of cash. If you're not focused on making it successful, making it good, doing it right. You know what I'm saying? So I think when you put your own cash up, you really show people that you have a stake in it as well, and you show yourself that I have to step up to this. This is my cash. Think about, for instance, for a Coppola who makes Apocalypse Now, I believe, and he has to mortgage his own home. And a lot of people wouldn't even do that, but that shows you how much in he was to make the movie.
Right. You never think of stuff like that. You hear like James Cameron gave up his salary so that they could make Titanic 2. or Titanic
Yeah.
2, stupid Titanic 2. What the hell am I thinking? Titanic also, Titanic. But you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
my point is like, if James Cameron's willing to give up his salary, like, who the heck am I?
100%, 100%. And it's like you don't want to sacrifice your life for it. You don't want to, extend yourself too far. But you gotta, we all have to. It's not easy to make a film. It costs a lot to make a film, So we all gotta kind of gotta give something up, for this. Whether it's time, money, and our skill, our blood and sweat. Something has to. We got to give something for it. And
Tell us about you when you're casting. Tell us about
mhm.
when you're looking at actors. What are you looking for? How do you cast? First of all, how do you start casting? Are you going by people you know? Because I know you know a lot of people. You know people like me,
Right,
and a lot of people.
right,
So
100%.
you could personally reach out to a lot of folks.
Right.
And
What
so yeah, go ahead.
right. I've been blessed to really see people and kind of like have it in my mindset of what they can do and where they would fit well. So I feel like most of my films have been pretty well cast. I don't think anyone will watch my films and say this guy might have been wrong or this one might have been wrong. I feel like once I really see a person and I kind of get a sense of how they talk and their mannerisms, how they speak, how they carry themselves, you can kind of see that morph into whatever character you're thinking of. And maybe it doesn't fit, so you don't choose them. But if you do choose them, a lot of times, I feel like I can get the right performance just by seeing a person. I love doing auditions as well. Auditioning actors and getting them in and talking to them, and But a lot of times, honestly, I'll see a person and say, "You might be good for this role," and that's kind of how I like to be kind of organic, but then you can put some other stuff into it. You can put some techniques and form into it.
I mean, like, though, are you using like casting networks or Backstage also on top of that, or?
Yeah, casting networks, Backstage, both of those.
So how many
Actors
submissions?
Access,
How many? Oh, Actors Access, of course, right. So
yeah.
how many submissions are you getting for a role? Let's say, like, if you put up a role, how many submissions do you receive?
I would say probably for I get a lot more for crew actually. For acting stuff, I say I get about per day or per total per day. I'd say I get about 15 to 20 15 to 20 submissions. Total, it kind of tails out after a couple of days. So you probably get about 45 to 50 people trying to get in that same position. And some people you don't really consider, but you'll keep them in mind and maybe keep their number if they had a good look, good audition, good tape, things like that. So
What do you look for? When somebody submits to you? What are you looking for? Are you looking at their how good their headshots are? Are you looking at the resume? All of it? What do you consider?
definitely you want to you want to consider everything. But for me, I think I'm looking at how they perform in the room in front of me because they have to show me something in that moment. You can have the best headshot, but if I see you in front of me and it's not what I want it to be, we can't go forward. So it's really important that they just be confident, know their lines, and then be willing to take direction and try a few different things, and we'll see how it goes.
And you're holding in-person auditions then, or you have previously?
I have previously, yes.
Wow. Okay. So how many people do you see at an in-person? Like you personally, how many actors are you auditioning
Per day, you'd ask?
per movie? Let's say
Per
per
movie,
project.
I'd say, well, I haven't done it in person in probably a couple of years because of the pandemic and things like that.
Sure,
So
sure.
I think my last one, I probably got about 20 people in over a day, a span of a day.
You had 20 people read. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's pretty great.
I feel very like I'm able to get actors. Like getting actors is a thing that I really pride myself on. So yeah, I can get them in the room for sure.
So you also are getting a lot of crew then. People want
Yeah,
to.
yeah. I got
And when
a lot of opportunities for crew for sure.
and you're talking about people who have their own equipment, people who like
Yeah,
what are.
yeah. I want people to have their own equipment just so I can come in and you already know how to work it. You already know, but we're gonna go by my standards. So I'm gonna in the original thing that what you're biting on. excuse me, I apologize. I'm gonna tell you what I need, you know, and then only people that have that will come talk to me. And then whoever we bring in, you know what we need. I know that you have what it takes to do it. So if I choose them, then we can just go forward like that.
Okay, right. So yeah, they already have that equipment coming in and everything. And are you hiring, like when you say a crew, are you hiring a team? Or are you hiring different, like a sound person separately? Like how does that work?
Separately.
You do it separately?
Most of the
And
time separately.
what's the requirement for your camera? Sony Black Magic or Red
Yeah.
or like?
No real requirements actually. I'm not 100%. I want it to be industry standard. I want it to be able to be on a Netflix platform or HBO Max. I want that type of standard, but at the same time, whatever that person, because there's a lot of different cameras, a lot of different things that can produce those same images. So I'm not so picky on that. I want them to be, just what it needs to be and have your creativity with it, you know.
Right. Out of your movies, and it's probably which film would you say is your standout? I mean, besides Mad Men Know Nothing, which film to you are you most proud of?
Probably Holly.
Holly, tell
Yeah.
tell the crowd, tell the audience about that.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell us about the
So
story.
yeah, so Holly is a story of two sets of brothers who are basically all out for a pot of cash. It's like an action movie, like a rat race type of movie, and it's a lot of morals in it. It's a lot of lessons and things like that. It felt really good to shoot. Some things went wrong, but we bounced back pretty well, and it was a great experience overall.
What are some of the things that went wrong? What are indie filmmaker pitfalls? I mean, I know
Well,
them, but
yeah.
I mean,
Any
the list is
filmmaker pitfalls.
endless list. But anyway, yeah.
So you can't have weapons out in public. First off,
Oh my gosh, you're
whether
not
fake
kidding.
or real, you can't have them.
You're not
And
kidding, right?
I felt like I was in a place where I kind of knew that, but I felt like I was in a place where it didn't really matter. Like we were kind of away from everything. But police came and they were very mad and they kind of threatened us a little bit, and but that you should use a computer that is a certain type of quality. I got once we finished the editing, actually, I lost all the footage because my computer was set.
Really? So
Yeah.
okay, so there's certain investments you should not skip out on.
Yeah, 100%.
It's funny that you say that about weapons in public, and dude, because we were in this back alley in Sacramento, which that's enough said right there. If you know anything about
Right.
Sacramento,
Yeah.
we were in this back alley in Sacramento, and I was just as a cop, and we were shooting a music video for these guys who are rappers. So that sets the tone, right? And and they were cool dudes. They were Christian rappers. Everything was, it was all this great thing. And I have a gun down on this guy, and I play the bad white guy, and the evil white cop. And I have a gun down on him, and the freaking neighbors came out and started yelling "pig," and one of them started filming. And dude, it was scary. And all of a sudden, I look over, and there's somebody over there with filming. And man, if they had a gun, and then all of a sudden the director's like, "Yo, this is fake." And they, even after they were fake, they're like, "No, that dude looks like a cop." Like it was. Man, I'm telling you, it was a scary situation. And another time we were in Sacramento, of course, and we had big old M16s, and it was right across from where all these people were having breakfast. And we were going film crew, but so I always thought if you're really gonna rob a bank, just be like, "Yo, filming YouTube video," and people leave you alone.
Yeah, and that's why it happened to me. Like one of the first few days of filming Ollie. But then I had to get some signs and have people like on the street filming here, etc. So people wouldn't and it was like blocks away, so people who walked up wouldn't feel a certain way seeing us do what we're doing, so.
Right, of having the weapons. Yeah, that's such, when you audition, do you hold a weapon? Because I know I hear different schools of thought, like you shouldn't hold anything, at the camera, you should hold it off camera. Like when you personally do it, what do you personally do?
I think you would probably hold it off camera, or if you have the prop, you kind of just want to be realistic with it and go straight at the camera. I think it's ways to do it. Both ways
See,
are viable.
I like to go straight to camera, but then you got that casting director who's like, "Oh my God, they should never point a gun."
Really?
You know, well, I
I
mean,
never heard that.
realistically, I probably should never point a gun, right? I mean, maybe.
Yeah, yeah. But I think from them watching it, like if you're giving that real performance, they might love seeing you go right at the camera like that, you know?
You would
But
like that as a director? You would think that was cool.
but there is the thing of they always want you looking off camera.
That's
Is
true
that what you're
too.
referring to?
Right.
Like,
Well, no, you're right. Because if you're going to look off camera to the side, you wouldn't hold the gun at the camera. That wouldn't
yeah,
make sense.
right.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, I always thought it would look really threatening to be like, you know,
yeah.
but maybe.
True. That's true. Yeah.
Okay. So Holly, and I know another thing. Let's talk about HD Productions Media. So
Hmm.
you come up to a point where you're like, yo, I just got to make these stories, and so you create your own company. Tell us a little about that. Is that to make it a legit funding? Why the purpose of your own production company? I mean, I know why, but tell us why.
Right. I think I did that just so I could get my own platform, my own place to where everything I make, you can go right here and you can get it. You can have this label and you can know when this comes up, you're going to get something that's emotional, evoking emotion. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be, you know, upbeat. It's going to be some cool stuff, maybe some things that you can relate to. And just to kind of get that trademark, you know, that recognizable thing for each of your films, you know.
Right. So that's part of the marketing, you're saying.
Yeah. And it's also for business stuff too. I don't want to get too much into that, but that's like, you know, you can get some when you have a certain type of company, you know, the business parts of it, you can make sure your funds are taken care of in that way as a filmmaker with a different name, and you don't want to use your own name and things like that. So, but yeah.
Right. I guess that's what I was getting at is you did it more of as
Yeah.
you did it more as a I got a phone call during this. You know what I
No,
usually say? I usually said airplane mode, and today I totally forgot. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so where does the name HD come from? Is it your initials backwards or?
It's not really my initial back. It's like I always wanted my films to feel like you were reading a novel, you know. So I kind of go with high definition. I kind of take that to like the nth degree, to where it's you can kind of see and feel the emotion and the tension rising up. And I'm always working to get that perfect picture. I don't think I've gotten there yet to where I exactly have embodied 100% what my moniker may mean. But I think it's coming. I think I'm on the way to making those very soon.
Sweet. What do you have coming up?
Mad Men Know Nothing. I got a great Mad Men Know Nothing is a 20-minute horror film. Hope I can get that on Amazon Prime. That's some people we're talking to right now. If not, we'll just get it out for people to see it, whatever way. It's going to be, because I'm really proud of it, I want people to see it. So we're going to make sure that people are able to see it pretty easily. I also have a great pilot. I do a lot of writing in my time. So I got a great pilot I'm working on, a few feature films, you know, planning for another film to go in production at the end of this year. So around October, November, we're going to start another short film. Hopefully I can get some festival play, you know, get on a festival run and things like that, and see what can happen with that. It's actually going to be a take on Greek mythology. So the story of Icarus, where he kind of touches the sun and kind of sacrifices himself for that one moment. We're touching on that in a modern way, a very hip way, making it kind of street level, and we're gonna see how that goes. So, yeah.
So you're inspired by these stories again, like Poe and the story of Icarus, coming up. What do you have then? Does Mad Men Know Nothing plan to go to festivals too, or you have
No.
separate distribution?
Mad Men Know Nothing. I like it a lot, but I don't really want to go to festivals with that. I kind of just want to put it out, people to see. Let them watch it, and then I got a lot of films I want to make, so I kind of just want to put it out, let people enjoy that, and then get started on my next one.
It's more important that the films are getting produced.
Exactly, and just put out, and you know, people love it. They love it if they share it and things like that. That's great. But I want people to just see that and enjoy it, and then I can start working on the next one.
I wanted to ask you. I saw that you mentioned the movie Daughters
Yeah,
was
yeah,
dedicated to your mom.
yeah.
Uh, how much of what we do is for our parents?
Man, so much of it, you know. Yeah, it's a lot of trying to just, you know, move in the right way so that the people that are closest to us, you know, can be proud or to can look upon us and say, that's something that's a person that I was a part of. I was with them. I know him. He's a great person. Da, 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 you know. So um, Daughters was a lot. That was actually a really good movie for me too. It went well. I had a great cast in that. The lead in that, back to what we were speaking about, William Anthony Rose. He's actually a person that I picked up and was like, I want you in a couple of my films because you got to look and I know you can act really well. And he did great. You know, he did great in that movie. So yeah, I love that film for sure.
How often do you work with the same actors?
Uh, a good amount, a good amount. I like doing it, but I don't want to do it to where it's like a thing, like a headline or something like that, you know, where like these are the duo, the great duo or something like that. If they fit, they fit. I like to put people in the roles that fit. If I think they fit and I know they can act, then I'll put them in. But I don't want to seek out duplicate roles and things like that. It's not. I don't want to do that.
You don't want to be like Depp and Burton or Scorsese and De
Yeah,
Niro, right?
exactly, exactly.
Put
Tarantino,
everybody.
Jackson, you know, that's actually a little better because it's not in every film. It's kind of like a different thing. But no, I kind of want to have an array of great actors and an array of great characters and things like that. So
Right. Is it? Do you feel like it's better like to sort of branch out the more people you know?
100%, 100%, because we may like a certain style of acting. I'm sorry about all this noise. I'm in jail right now. I know there's a lot of great noise, a lot of great styles of acting, but there are people who have certain things about them, certain about things about the way they speak, um, that their portrayal is going to be so much different than what you maybe even what you imagine, and they can add such a thing, such another layer to your character. Like back to Tarantino, Samuel L. Jackson. Like I'm sure Sam Tarantino didn't expect to use Samuel Jackson as much as he did, you know. But then you hear his voice and you hear his diction and the way he says his lines and the way he commands each line he says, and it's just powerful and it's direct and it's, you know, conviction in each word. I have to have him now. Like I have to use this person who I didn't even expect to use or want to put in my film, but now that I've heard him and now that I've experienced this new thing, I have to bring him in. So that's kind of how I want to be, and just find different people, you know.
Right. You know, and you never know, right? Your Samuel L. Jackson
100%.
could be out there. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
like you said, I was thinking about that the other day about him, about how he just sort of like got this role in Pulp Fiction and then, you know, rocketed from that. I mean,
yeah.
because he's basically like the best character in the whole film, which
He
is
is, he is, he
pretty
is.
crazy, you know? I mean, to think what a weird character, right? You probably so
Yeah,
so you know, before we run out of time,
for sure.
you know, what advice do you have for people who um, want to take that leap, you know, coming from, let's say, Champaign or coming from anywhere
Hmm.
and want to
Hmm.
come to LA and make film? You know,
Hmm.
I mean, not that you can wrap that up in a few minutes, but you know,
Right,
what
right.
advice do you have for that?
I would say if you truly want to do it, you got to realize that you have to really want it because it's not going to be easy. You know, it's a grind every day to like just to move throughout LA and be as, you know, be productive. You know, I think if people want to do that though, I support it 100%. Like just take it seriously, and you know, you got to stay focused. You got to stay like in your zone. You know, so to say. Like once we get in our zone, we can do anything we want. You know, and it's important for us to just stay focused and keep going. If you really believe you can do it, you probably can.
If you really believe you can do it, you probably can.
Yeah.
Where can the people find you? They
Yeah. So
where can they
I'm
where can
on
they find you online? Yeah.
yeah, for sure. I'm on Facebook, you know, under Deshawn Hill. I'm on Twitter, Deshawn Hill Film. Instagram, I'm Deshawn Hill Film as well. I was real Deshawn Hill for a while, but I got hacked. So uh,
The real
uh,
Deshaun Hill became fake Deshaun Hill. That's interesting.
that's funny. That's funny. Yes, yes, that's exactly what happened. So now it's Deshawn Hill Film. I'm on YouTube under Deshawn Hill. I also have HD Productions on YouTube. My trailer for Mad Men or Nothing is up on my YouTube, my Twitter, Instagram. If you haven't seen that, please check it out. Our new film is on the way. It's going to be really cool to see. Got some great performances, some things that I really enjoy about it, and I hope everybody keep watching and just keep supporting me.
Right on, man. All right. Final words.
Yes,
Final
sir.
words.
Yes,
I
sir.
mean, I know I just asked you what would you tell upcoming filmmakers, but you know, maybe it's the same thing. But you know, I
Final word. Final words. I would say film is very important, not just because it's entertaining, but because it teaches us about life, about humanity. You know, some people who may not have the experiences can watch these things and really get a look into what another person's experience is about, and maybe be a little bit more understanding, be a little bit more sympathetic, empathetic, and we can see ourselves, you know, a lot of times. So yeah, that's it.
Man, that I love it. I do.
Yeah,
Deshaun,
yeah.
man, it's good to see you again. I thank you
Yes, sir.
so much for being on the show, my man. Thank
Thanks for
you.
having me, man. This
And
was fun.
right, you know, we've been trying to get you on for so long, and
Exactly.
it takes a long time to get on this show, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's
I understand, bro. It's okay. I get it. I get it.
but you know, but it's good to see you, man. And to everybody out there watching, thank you guys. Next week we have Tracy Burr again. Happy birthday, producer Warren Madden. Deshaun, thanks for being on.
Yeah.
Everybody, we'll see you next week.
Have a good night, guys. See ya.